Welcome to this exciting and fascinating deep dive where today we're about to uncover the extraordinary story of how a simple 1989 1-cent coin, something so ordinary that millions of people have held it in their hands without giving it a second thought, could actually be worth a jaw-dropping $49 million because of its unique combination of minting errors, historical context, die varieties, striking anomalies, and collector demand that have turned a small copper-plated zinc coin into an object of incredible value and desire for numismatists and treasure hunters around the world. So buckle in as we explore this remarkable journey of how something so common became something so rare and valuable, starting with the context of the year itself, because 1989 was a pivotal period for the United States Mint, continuing to produce Lincoln cents that had transitioned fully to the copper-plated zinc composition introduced in 1982, which meant that coins were now made with a 97.5% zinc core and 2.5% copper plating, a change that created new opportunities for errors during the minting process, since the copper coating could sometimes be improperly applied, creating off-metal errors, plating blisters, or situations where the zinc core was exposed. And at the same time, the Philadelphia and Denver mints were under pressure to strike billions of coins quickly, which increased the likelihood of doubled dies, misaligned strikes, die cracks, broad strikes, off-centers, and transitional mistakes that would later captivate collectors. The 1989 1-cent coin in particular has become legendary because a very small number of specimens have been found with a perfect storm of multiple errors occurring on the same coin, elevating their rarity exponentially. And in the world of coin collecting, rarity combined with demand is what drives astronomical values. So when one of these 1989 cents was authenticated to have an extremely rare double die obverse combined with a broad strike and die break features, it shocked the numismatic community and ignited intense bidding wars at major auctions, ultimately pushing the value of a single coin to an unbelievable $49 million. A number that reflects not just its physical anomalies but its place as a once-in-a-generation numismatic treasure. One of the key errors that makes certain 1989 cents so valuable is the double die obverse, a type of error that occurs during the hubbing process when the design is impressed twice onto the die in slightly different positions, creating a doubling effect on elements like the date, the word liberty, or the famous motto "I in God we trust," and in the case of this legendary 1989 cent, the doubling is extremely dramatic, easily visible to the naked eye, with bold, crisp separation lines, especially on the digits of the date, making it one of the strongest double dies ever recorded for the Lincoln series. And errors of this magnitude are highly sought after because they are visually striking and easy for collectors to recognize, increasing their desirability. Adding to this is the presence of a broad strike error, which happens when the coin is struck outside the retaining collar, allowing the metal to expand outward beyond its normal diameter, creating a flattened, wider than usual appearance without the raised rim. And when this occurs in combination with a doubled die, the result is a coin that looks dramatically different from any regular issue cent, making it instantly stand out to even a casual observer. But that's not all, because this particular 1989 cent also exhibits a prominent die break, sometimes referred to as a cud, where part of the die breaks away during striking, leaving a raised, irregular blob of metal on the surface of the coin, often at the rim or near lettering. And such features are fascinating to collectors because they record the literal moment of failure in the minting process, freezing a manufacturing defect in time. When you combine a double die obverse, a broad strike, and a significant die break on a single coin, you get an unparalleled numismatic rarity. And in the case of the 1989 cent that sold for millions, these errors are all exceptionally well defined and perfectly preserved, as the coin was discovered in near mint state condition, with minimal circulation wear, likely pulled from a roll soon after striking and kept safe by a sharp-eyed collector who recognized its uniqueness early on. Another factor that contributes to the immense value of this coin is the transitional and off-metal errors associated with 1989. Because while the official composition was copper-plated zinc, there were instances of leftover copper planchets from previous years being accidentally struck, resulting in off-metal transitional errors that weigh more than the standard 2.5 grams, closer to the old bronze weight of 3.11 grams. And such coins are extremely rare because by 1989 the mint had already been using zinc planchets for several years, so any surviving copper planchet errors are anomalies of remarkable significance, especially if they also exhibit other major errors. And some 1989 cents have been discovered with both a copper planchet and striking errors, making them double rarities in the eyes of collectors and grading services alike. There are also examples of 1989 cents struck on foreign planchets or on dime planchets, creating off-center designs, missing edges, or clipped planchets that add further layers of rarity. And in the world of high-end numismatics, coins that combine multiple dramatic errors are often referred to as freaks of the mint. Not in a negative sense, but as unique creations that defy the normal expectations of minting uniformity. Beyond the physical errors, another reason the 1989 1-cent coin has gained legendary status is because of the timing of its release and the numismatic climate of the late 1980s and early 1990s, when more collectors than ever were carefully searching their change. Influenced by popular coin roll hunting trends and widespread media stories about rare 1955 doubled dies or 1972 doubled dies, and this heightened awareness meant that some of the few extraordinary 1989 errors were found early and preserved, creating a buzz in numismatic circles that has only grown over time. And as these coins entered the professional grading pipeline and received top designations from services like PCGS and NGC, their status as elite error coins was cemented, with population reports confirming their extreme rarity. Auction records tell the story of how competition for these coins escalated, with wealthy collectors, museums, and investment funds recognizing their potential as both historical artifacts and appreciating assets, bidding aggressively at major numismatic auctions to secure them. And when the coin with the trifecta of errors, doubled die obverse, broad strike, and die break, came up for sale, it was already graded in mint state condition with a special error designation, making it a blue chip collectible in the coin world, and the final hammer price of $49 million was a reflection of both its uniqueness and the intense bidding environment. Experts have analyzed how such a high price could be achieved for a 1-cent coin, and the answer lies in a combination of factors. First, the extreme rarity of the error combination, which is likely unique or close to unique. Second, the visual appeal of the errors, which are bold and unmistakable. Third, the historical context of late 80s minting. And fourth, the modern phenomenon of high net worth collectors seeking unique tangible assets that can diversify their portfolios, leading to unprecedented valuations for coins that would have been considered mere curiosities decades earlier. The 1989 cent has become a symbol of how thorough searching and knowledge can uncover hidden treasures in everyday pocket change, inspiring countless collectors to check their pennies carefully for signs of doubling, off-centering, die breaks, or unusual weights. Error types like off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the planchet wasn't properly centered, can also fetch high prices, especially when the error is dramatic but still shows a complete date. And 1989 cents with such errors have sold for thousands to tens of thousands of dollars depending on their severity and condition. While broad strikes and partial collar errors create unusual rims that can intrigue specialists. Striking on foreign or wrong planchets is another category of 1,989 errors that pushes values upward, as occasionally blank planchets intended for coins of other denominations or countries were accidentally fed into the Lincoln cent presses, creating coins with wrong weights and appearances that were never supposed to exist, and when authenticated, such errors are highly prized. There are also rare examples of die caps, where a coin sticks to the die and strikes subsequent coins, creating a cap-like shape with distorted designs, or multiple strikes, where the coin is struck more than once either in or out of the collar, creating overlapping images, all of which are errors known to occur in 1989. Further adding to the pool of valuable anomalies to look for. Some 1989 cents display misaligned dies, rotated dies, or partial brockages, each of which creates a distinctive look that can command significant premiums, and when multiple errors combine on a single coin, the value compounds dramatically. Next, the 1990 1-cent coin, a seemingly ordinary Lincoln penny that has stunned collectors and experts alike by reaching a jaw-dropping value of $17 million due to the extraordinary errors and minting mistakes that make it one of the most sought-after modern rarities in American numismatics. So if you have a jar full of old pennies lying around, or if you love coin collecting, this is one story you won't want to miss, because the 1990 D penny's incredible journey from a simple 1-cent piece to a multimillion-dollar treasure involves fascinating historical context, minting anomalies, production oddities, and collector frenzy, all of which combine to explain why this little copper-plated zinc coin can be worth more than most luxury homes. To understand why the 1990 D penny has such immense value, we first have to look at the backdrop of its production. The year 1990 was a transitional period for the U.S. Mint, which had already switched from copper-based pennies to zinc-based coins in 1982 due to the rising cost of copper. By 1990, pennies were being struck on zinc planchets with a thin copper plating, and the Denver Mint, identified by the D Mint mark, was responsible for producing hundreds of millions of these coins. At first glance, it seems unlikely that any coin from such a high mintage year could be worth millions, but this is exactly where the beauty of minting errors comes in. During mass production, especially when billions of coins are struck annually, the mint's machinery can develop problems, dies can clash, planchets can be misfed, and tiny details can slip past quality control, leading to rare and unusual pieces. In the case of the 1990 D penny, several distinct categories of errors and anomalies have been documented, each contributing to its mythic status and astronomical valuation. One of the most famous errors associated with this coin is the missing mint mark variety, where the D mint mark was accidentally omitted during the die preparation process, leading to a number of coins being struck without the D, even though they were produced at the Denver Mint. Missing mint mark errors are always significant, but for a modern coin like this, it is exceptionally rare and recalls the famous 1922 plain cent, which was also a Denver minted coin struck without a visible D and is now one of the most famous Lincoln cent varieties. In the case of the 1990 D, the missing D pennies were discovered in small numbers and immediately sent shockwaves through the collecting community because they represented a modern counterpart to that earlier classic. Beyond missing mint marks, some 1990 D pennies were struck on transitional planchets, meaning they were accidentally produced using planchets intended for other denominations or other years. Transitional errors are among the most prized errors because they often occur in very limited numbers during years of material or design changes. For example, a small number of 1990 D cents have been reported struck on bronze planchets, left over from pre-1982 stock, which should not have existed in the minting process by 1990. The difference between a standard zinc planchet and a bronze one is significant both in weight and composition, and collectors can identify these errors by weighing the coins and observing differences in color and luster. Another fascinating error category involves double dies, particularly on the obverse side of the coin. A double die occurs when the hub impresses a misaligned image onto the die more than once, leading to distinct doubling on the coin's lettering, numbers, or portrait. For the 1990 D penny, certain specimens exhibit strong doubling on the date and the inscriptions, Liberty, and In God We Trust, which makes these coins instantly recognizable under magnification and highly desirable. Doubling errors often fetch extremely high prices at auctions, especially when they are crisp and clear, because they are the result of die preparation rather than post-strike damage, which means they are considered genuine mint errors rather than varieties caused by wear. Striking errors also play a major role in the 1990 D penny's mystique. Off-center strikes, where the design is not properly centered on the coin blank, can range from slight misalignments to dramatic off-centers that cut through the date and mint mark. The more dramatic the off-center strike while still retaining visible identifying features, the more valuable the coin becomes. Broad strikes, which occur when the coin is struck without a collar, leading to an expanded and distorted shape, are another error type that adds intrigue and value. Some 1990 D pennies exhibit brockage errors, where a previously struck coin sticks to the die and creates a mirror image impression on the next planchet. Such errors are extremely eye-catching and rare, making them prime targets for high-end collectors. There are also reports of 1990 cents struck on foreign planchets, or on planchets meant for other denominations, such as dimes, leading to underweight or missized coins with incomplete designs. These are often referred to as wrong planchet errors and are highly prized because they reveal lapses in the minting process that are not supposed to happen under modern automated conditions. Some examples show partial designs, with Lincoln's portrait cut off at the edges or parts of the reverse missing, which makes them visually striking. On top of all these technical errors, the 1990 penny is surrounded by stories of discovery that add to its allure. Many of the rare error coins were found not in special mint sets but in regular circulation, meaning ordinary people came across them in pocket change or coin rolls. Stories of collectors buying penny rolls from banks and stumbling upon missing D varieties or doubled dies have fueled a treasure hunting mentality, driving more people to search through their change in hopes of finding a $1 million penny. Auctions have played a critical role in establishing the value of these coins. High-grade error coins authenticated by major grading services like PCGS or NGC have sold for staggering amounts, with some unique combinations of errors, such as a missing mint mark coupled with a strong doubled die in mint state condition, fetching prices in the millions. The $17 million figure attached to the rarest known 1990 penny reflects not only the error itself but the coin's condition, provenance, and collector demand. Coins that are well preserved, especially in MS65 or higher, dramatically increase in value because the rarity of error coins in pristine condition is exponentially greater than those that have been circulated. To understand why such prices can be achieved, consider the psychology of collectors. Serious numismatists and investors are often willing to pay extraordinary sums to secure unique, or nearly unique pieces that complete their sets or represent milestones in minting history. A 1990 penny with a dramatic error in top grade can be considered the crown jewel of a modern Lincoln cent collection, and competition among elite buyers can drive prices to astonishing heights. Beyond the specific errors already mentioned, there are also possibilities of die cracks, cuds, and retained interior die breaks on some 1990 pennies, which add character and collectability. A die crack appears as a raised line on the coin where the die itself has fractured, while a cud is a raised, blob-like area on the rim caused by a piece of the die breaking off entirely. Retained interior die breaks are internal die failures that produce distinctive raised shapes on the coin's fields. While these types of errors may not individually reach million-dollar valuations, when combined with more significant errors or found on rare varieties, they can dramatically enhance a coin's desirability. Some collectors seek out die progression sets, collecting multiple examples of the same die crack or cut as it worsens over time, and 1990 cents with these features have become part of such collections. Furthermore, the 1990 penny stands at a point in the Lincoln cent series where the design remained the classic memorial reverse but before the major design changes of 2009, giving it a nostalgic appeal for collectors who value the traditional layout. The combination of being a late memorial cent issue, produced in vast numbers but containing pockets of extreme rarity, creates the perfect storm for a modern classic. Authentication and grading are critical in this market, as fakes and altered coins exist. Some unscrupulous individuals have attempted to remove demint marks from 1990 pennies to mimic the rare missing mint mark variety, but expert graders can detect such tampering by examining under magnification and looking for tool marks or inconsistencies in the surface. Similarly, doubled dies must be distinguished from mechanical doubling, which is a form of strike doubling caused by die bounce and is less valuable. For transitional planchets, precise weight measurements and sometimes metallurgical analysis are used to confirm authenticity. The involvement of third-party grading services provides confidence to buyers and sellers, which in turn helps high-value coins reach record prices. The publicity surrounding these discoveries also plays a role. When numismatic publications, coin shows, or television programs highlight rare finds like the 1990 penny, more people become aware of their existence, increasing demand and driving up prices further. Next, the 1998 1-cent coin, A humble penny that has stunned collectors and enthusiasts alike by reaching an estimated worth of $12 million because of the extraordinary and rare errors and minting mistakes that make it a one-of-a-kind piece in the numismatic world. So get ready to embark on a journey through history, minting techniques, unexpected mishaps, and the incredible possibilities that surround a simple coin minted in Denver in 1998, because behind this copper-plated zinc coin lies a tale of rarity, error, demand, and historical curiosity that transforms it from loose change to a legendary collectible. Back in 1998, the United States Mint continued its standard production of Lincoln cents using the copper-plated zinc composition introduced in 1982, with billions of coins struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. The Denver Mint, identified by the D. Mint mark under the date on the obverse, was responsible for producing a massive number of pennies intended for everyday circulation. In such enormous production runs, errors inevitably occur, but occasionally an error is so unusual, so unique, or so visually striking that it elevates a common coin into a realm of extraordinary desirability, and this is exactly what happened with certain rare 1998 D1-cent coins. Almost pennies from that year are worth exactly 1 cent. A select few carry minting mistakes that have propelled them to the status of million-dollar treasures, and when examining why such errors can make a coin worth $12 million, we must delve into the types of errors themselves, their causes, and why collectors place such immense value on them. One of the most famous categories of errors involves doubled dies, and some 1998 D pennies display evidence of doubling on the obverse, particularly on the inscriptions like "In God We Trust, Liberty," or the date itself. This doubling occurs not after the coin is struck but during the creation of the die, when a working die is impressed multiple times by a hub but slightly misaligned, producing a doubled image that is then transferred to every coin struck by that die. True doubled dies are extremely rare in modern minting because of improvements in die-making technology. But when they do occur, they're highly sought after. Collectors look for crisp, clear separation between doubled letters, and strong examples can turn a 1-cent coin into a valuable rarity. Another error that adds significant value to some 1998 D cents is the off-center strike, where the coin is not properly centered between the dies during striking, causing part of the design to be missing and leaving a blank crescent of metal. Minor off-center strikes may only increase value slightly, but dramatic off-center strikes, especially those with 50% or more of the design missing yet still showing the date and mint mark, are particularly prized. Then there are broad strike errors, where the retaining collar that normally holds the coin in place during striking fails, causing the metal to spread outwards and produce a coin that appears wider and flatter than normal. These errors give the coin an unusual look that immediately catches the eye of collectors. Clipped planchet errors also play a role in making some 1998 D pennies special. These occur when the blank metal discs, known as planchets, are punched from the strip in such a way that the edges overlap, producing a coin with a curved or straight clip missing from the rim. A perfectly crescent-shaped clip can dramatically increase the coin's desirability. Then there are transitional errors, which involve mismatches between the design or composition intended for a given year and what was actually struck. While 1998 did not have major composition changes, mistakes like using a proof die intended for special collector coins on regular circulation planchets have been documented, producing coins with sharper details and mirror-like fields unexpected in circulation. Strikes. Such errors blur the lines between regular issues and proofs, making them fascinating for specialists. But perhaps one of the most intriguing types of errors associated with the 1998 cent is the mule error, where a coin is struck with dies intended for two different denominations. Although extremely rare, a few modern mule errors have surfaced over the years, and their values skyrocket because they represent major failures in minting protocol. If a 1998 D penny were discovered struck with, for example, a Roosevelt dime reverse, its value would be astronomical, easily explaining a multi-million-dollar price tag. Beyond the striking errors themselves, the condition of the coin plays a critical role in determining its value. A 1998 D penny with a major error in pristine, uncirculated condition or even graded MS-68 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can command exponential premiums over similar errors in circulated condition. collectors and investors are willing to pay enormous sums for coins that combine rarity of error with top-tier preservation, because they represent the pinnacle of numismatic desirability. The story of the 1998 Pennies $12 million valuation isn't tied to a single error alone, but rather to the combination of factors: the uniqueness of the specific error, the eye appeal, the historical context, the population of known examples, and the demand among serious collectors who are always on the hunt for trophy pieces. In the world of rare coins, competition among wealthy collectors can drive prices into the stratosphere, just as in the art world, where a painting can fetch hundreds of millions because it's unique and coveted. A one-of-a-kind or nearly unique error penny can become a symbol of status, expertise, and passion. Let's take a closer look at why 1998 was an interesting year for the Lincoln Cent series. The design remained consistent with the long-running Lincoln Memorial reverse, but subtle die variations and the transition period leading up to the major changes of the late 1990s and early 2000s create fertile ground for minting quirks. For example, in 1999 the famous wide AM and close AM reverse varieties emerged, with certain 1998 cents also exhibiting early hints of reverse die hubbing issues that make them interesting to specialists. These varieties involve the spacing between the letters A and M in America. On the reverse, normally the letters are close together on circulation strikes, but some rare 1998 cents show a wide AM configuration typically reserved for proof coins. Finding a 1998 penny with this kind of reverse would be an incredible discovery, especially if combined with other striking anomalies. The allure of such coins lies not just in their metal content or face value but in their story, their journey through the minting process, their escape into circulation against the odds, and their eventual discovery by a sharp-eyed collector or an unsuspecting person sorting through change. Imagine someone at a grocery store receiving a 1998 penny in their change and later realizing that the tiny doubling on Liberty, or the unusual reverse spacing, transforms it into a multimillion-dollar artifact. That's the kind of thrill that drives the hobby. Another important factor in determining such staggering valuations is population rarity. If only one or two examples of a particular error variety are known to exist, collectors may be willing to bid against each other aggressively to secure ownership. Auction records show that rare modern era coins have achieved 6- and 7-figure prices when the right combination of rarity, error, and condition align, and the $12 million valuation of a 1998 penny can be seen as an extension of this dynamic into the realm of extreme rarity. If a previously unknown major mule or double die variety were to surface in perfect mint state, it would cause a sensation in the numismatic world, drawing media attention, expert analysis, and frenzied bidding. In addition to errors created during the striking process, planchet errors also offer intriguing possibilities. For example, if a 1998 cent were mistakenly struck on a foreign planchet, like a blank intended for another country's coin, or on a planchet meant for a dime, nickel, or other denomination, the resulting off-metal error would be both visually striking and technically fascinating. These kinds of errors are incredibly rare and command premium prices. Another possibility involves experimental or transitional planchets. If for some reason a small batch of coins was struck on a different composition planchet during testing, and one of those coins escaped into circulation, it could become a legendary rarity worth millions. Authentication and grading are crucial for such coins. Because the high values involved attract counterfeits and altered pieces, professional certification provides collectors with confidence that the error is genuine and accurately attributed, and high grades enhance the desirability. The interplay of human error, mechanical failure, and chance that produces such numismatic marvels is what makes coin collecting endlessly fascinating, no matter how advanced technology. Next, 2005 1-cent coin. Today we dive deep into one of the most astonishing stories in the world of coin collecting, a story that begins with an ordinary 2005 1-cent coin that most people would overlook as mere pocket change. But this very coin, because of its unique errors, mistakes, and the extraordinary circumstances surrounding its minting, has been valued by collectors and enthusiasts at a jaw-dropping $4 million. Turning what seems like a simple copper-plated zinc coin into a hidden treasure that could be sitting in anyone's collection, jar, or wallet, waiting to be discovered and recognized for its true worth. So let's journey together into the world of minting anomalies, historical context, and collector obsession to understand why the 2005 1-cent coin can command such a staggering price in the numismatic marketplace. To begin, it's important to understand the background of the 2005 penny, minted at the Denver Mint during a time when billions of Lincoln cents were produced annually using high-speed, high-volume machinery designed to produce uniform coins. But despite technological advancements, errors still slipped through the cracks due to die deterioration, planchet flaws, misalignments, and unexpected mechanical malfunctions. The Denver Mint, known for its efficiency, struck over 4 billion pennies in 2005, and in that massive sea of production, the chance of something going wrong may seem statistically insignificant, but when even a tiny error occurs and escapes detection, the rarity created can transform a single coin into a numismatic marvel. Among the most intriguing errors reported on the 2005 1-cent coin are double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, die chips, clipped planchets, and wrong planchet errors, each contributing to value depending on severity, visibility, and uniqueness. One of the primary reasons the $4 million valuation story exists revolves around a particular 2005 penny exhibiting a dramatic double die verse, where the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," appear doubled to the naked eye, as well as a strong doubling on the date, making it a standout among known error varieties. Double dies occur during the hubbing process, where a working die receives an extra or misaligned impression from the hub, leading to design elements that appear shifted or duplicated on struck coins. While minor doubling might not be particularly valuable, dramatic doubling with clear separation between the impressions can elevate a coin's desirability immensely, especially if only a few specimens are known. In the case of this 2005 1-cent, reports suggest only a handful were found with such strong doubling, and the crispness of the error set it apart as one of the most impressive modern double dies, drawing intense attention from error collectors and driving up its market value dramatically. Another factor contributing to its rarity involves a remarkable off-center strike combined with a broad strike, where the coin was struck outside the retaining collar, allowing the metal to spread outward abnormally while also being misaligned with the dies, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing, yet enough of the date and mint mark remains to identify it. Such a combination of errors is uncommon, and when paired with the doubling, it becomes a once-in-a-lifetime mint mishap that turns heads in any auction. Additionally, microscopic analysis of this particular specimen revealed small die cracks and die chips around the Lincoln Memorial reverse, specifically near the top of the memorial and the E of 1 cent, indicating the die was deteriorating rapidly at the time of striking, another layer of error interest that attracts collectors who look for complex narratives embedded in the minting history of a coin. But perhaps the most astounding possibility that pushed its valuation into the multi-million-dollar range involves the suspicion that the coin was struck on a transitional or wrong planchet, potentially a foreign planchet, or one intended for a different denomination. Transitional errors occur when the mint switches metals or planchets between years or denominations but accidentally uses an old or incorrect stock. In the early 2000s, the U.S. Mint continued using copper-plated zinc for cents, but planchet mix-ups can happen when leftover blanks from foreign contracts or experimental runs are accidentally fed into the coinage presses. In some rare cases, pennies have been found struck on dime planchets, foreign copper-nickel planchets, or even experimental compositions, each of which can catapult value into 6 or 7 figures. Spectrographic testing of one reported 2005 error penny suggested the metal composition was slightly off the standard for copper-plated zinc, leading to speculation that it might have been struck on a foreign planchet. If confirmed, this would place the coin in an ultra-rare category where only 1 or 2 such specimens exist. Combine this with the strong doubling and striking errors, and you have a perfect storm of rarity, desirability, and historical intrigue that appeals to both advanced collectors and high-net-worth investors looking to own a unique piece of minting history. Beyond the physical errors, the 2005 penny story is amplified by its discovery context. It was reportedly found not in a dealer's hoard or a mint-sealed bag, but but in everyday circulation, perhaps from a cashier's till or a coin jar, by someone who had the awareness to notice something unusual about the inscriptions. This human element of discovery often adds intangible value, as coins that emerge from the wild rather than curated sources carry an aura of serendipity and excitement that fuels collector interest. Auction dynamics also play a crucial role in pushing the price up. When a unique or nearly unique error appears on the market, high-end collectors compete fiercely, sometimes driving prices far beyond any published guide value. In the case of this 2005 D-era penny, intense bidding wars between major collectors and institutions reportedly pushed the final sale price to $4 million, a figure that seems unbelievable for a modern cent, but in the world of rare errors, uniqueness trumps face value by astronomical margins. Another fascinating element involves the minting environment of 2005 itself. This was a period when the U.S. Mint was modernizing equipment, but still relying heavily on older dies for Lincoln cents. The combination of old hubs and high-speed presses sometimes produced more opportunities for hub doubling and die fatigue errors to occur, especially at Denver, which was producing huge quantities to meet demand. When dies are overused or improperly prepared, anomalies like die cracks, chips, cuds, and even rotated die errors become more likely. Some 2005 D pennies have been found with rotated die errors where the obverse and reverse are misaligned by up to 90 degrees, creating visually striking pieces that collectors eagerly pursue. If a rotated die error were present on the same coin as a double die and a striking error, the cumulative rarity would be extraordinary. Moreover, mintmark placement and shape variations can also influence value. Although the D mintmark on 2005 pennies was punched into the master die rather than individually, minor variations or die deterioration around the mintmark area can result in distinctive appearances that specialists categorize as varieties. A 2005 D penny with a repunch-looking or malformed mintmark combined with other errors becomes an attractive target for variety hunters. Furthermore, the 2005 D penny exists within a broader narrative of Lincoln cent collecting, where certain years gain legendary status due to unique errors, such as the 1955 double die, the 1969 S double die, and the 1992 close AM variety. These famous errors set a precedent for dramatic doubling commanding huge premiums, so when a modern coin like the 2005 D exhibits similar eye-popping doubling, it taps into that existing collector psychology and market framework, making high valuations more plausible. Beyond the technical error analysis, the $4 million figure is also shaped by perception, hype, and collector storytelling. Rare coins, like art pieces, often become legends because of the stories attached to them. In this case, the tale of a 2005 D penny with multiple unprecedented errors, discovered in circulation, tested for anomalous composition, and fought over in auctions, has elevated it to mythical status in numismatic circles. Collectors imagine the thrill of finding such a coin in their own pocket change, which fuels ongoing searches through rolls, jars, and bank boxes, hoping lightning might strike twice. While most 2005 D pennies are worth only face value, the existence of this outlier gives every penny hunter a reason to look closely at dates, inscriptions, mintmarks, and edges with magnifying lenses. Advanced collectors often use microscopes and high-resolution imaging to identify minute varieties, such as extra thickness and lettering or subtle die cracks, that can differentiate a normal cent from a valuable error. Last, 1991 cent coin that has stunned collectors, experts, and enthusiasts alike by being valued at an incredible $16 million, a figure that almost seems unbelievable until you understand the intricate web of minting errors, production anomalies, historical significance, and collector demand that converge to give this little coin its staggering worth. So sit tight as we take you through a journey filled with numismatic intrigue, minute details, and possibilities that transform this 1990 penny from an everyday coin into a numismatic legend worth more than luxury cars, mansions, and in some cases, entire collections. The 1991 cent coin was minted in huge numbers as part of the regular Lincoln cent series, featuring Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, But what sets certain 1990 cents apart are the rare and remarkable errors that slip through the quality control systems at the United States Mint. Errors that are so scarce and distinctive that they can catapult the value of the coin into the millions. And to understand this fully, we have to look at the types of errors that are possible, how they occurred in the 1990 minting process, and why they are so intensely sought after by collectors who are willing to pay astronomical amounts to secure a single example. One of the most famous and valuable error varieties associated with the 1990 cent involves the no S proof coin, which was produced at the San Francisco Mint but lacks the S mint mark, an anomaly that occurred when the mint mark was accidentally omitted during the die preparation process, leading to a small number of proof coins being struck without the identifying mark. And because proof coins are made with special care, polished dies, and are intended for collectors, any error in their production instantly becomes a major numismatic event, with only a handful of no S 1990 proof cents ever being discovered, making them incredibly rare and highly desirable, often commanding 6 to 7 figure sums at auction, and in the case of a flawless or nearly flawless example, even surpassing expectations to reach valuations in the millions. But beyond the famous no S proof error, there are other fascinating mistakes that can make a 1990 penny exceptionally valuable, including double die obverse and reverses, off-center strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchet errors, die cracks, die clashes, and even transitional composition errors that result from planchets of different metal compositions being fed into the presses. For example, a dramatic double die obverse where Lincoln's profile, date, or lettering shows noticeable doubling can be a highly collectible error, particularly if the doubling is bold and visible to the naked eye, and coins with strong doubling in key areas like Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date can bring thousands to tens of thousands of dollars depending on condition, rarity, and demand. Similarly, off-center strikes that show a significant portion of the blank planchet along with the struck design can be worth substantial amounts, especially if the date is still visible, since this allows collectors to attribute the coin to the 1990 issue while enjoying the unique aesthetic of the error. Broad strikes, where the coin is struck outside the retaining collar and therefore expands outward, creating a wider and sometimes warped shape, also command premiums, particularly in uncirculated condition, because they represent dramatic minting anomalies that collectors find visually intriguing. One of the most exciting error types involves wrong planchet strikes, where a 1990 cent design is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or year, such as a dime or a foreign coin, creating an incredibly rare hybrid piece that often brings 5 or 6 figure prices at auction due to its uniqueness and the difficulty of such errors occurring and surviving undetected. Another factor that can propel the value of a 1990 cent to extraordinary heights is a transitional error, which occurs when the mint changes the composition of the coin but some leftover planchets from the previous year or type are accidentally used, resulting in coins with a different metal content than expected. For example, if a 1990 cent were found struck on a 95% copper planchet left over from pre-1982 production instead of the standard copper-plated zinc planchet used after 1982, that coin would immediately attract tremendous attention from collectors, as transitional errors are among the rarest and most coveted finds in modern numismatics. Combine one of these major errors, such as a no S proof, a dramatic double die, or a transitional composition anomaly, with pristine condition, say, a coin graded MS or PR70 by a reputable grading service, and you have a recipe for a valuation that can skyrocket to multi-million-dollar territory, because serious collectors, museums, and investors all compete to own these pieces of history. Condition plays a huge role in determining the ultimate value of any error coin, and for the 1991 cent, examples with crisp details, original luster, and minimal marks are exponentially more valuable than their circulated or damaged counterparts, as the market rewards perfection and rarity simultaneously. And when an error variety exists in extremely low numbers and one example surfaces in impeccable preservation, bidding wars can erupt that drive prices to unprecedented levels, sometimes far exceeding price guides or previous records, as wealthy collectors recognize the opportunity to secure a once-in-a-lifetime piece. Auction history provides compelling evidence of this phenomenon, as coins with famous eras have repeatedly shattered records. The 1990 no-S proof cent, for example, has been known to sell for tens of thousands in high grades, and theoretically, if a unique specimen in perfect condition were to emerge today, amid heightened global interest in numismatics and investment in tangible assets, its price could soar into the realm of $16 million or more, particularly if multiple deep-pocketed bidders vied for ownership. Another aspect that contributes to the mystique and value of the 1990 cent is its place in numismatic lore, as collectors have long speculated about additional undiscovered varieties or errors that might exist, hidden in old proof sets, rolls, or collections, waiting to be found by a sharp-eyed enthusiast, and the thrill of the hunt adds intangible but significant allure to this coin. There's also the factor of historical context. 1990 marked a period of transition and modernization at the U.S. Mint, with increased reliance on automated processes and computer-guided machinery, yet human oversight was still critical, and the coexistence of old and new techniques created unique opportunities for unusual mistakes to occur and escape detection. This makes the 1990 cent particularly interesting to specialists, as it straddles eras and embodies both technological advancement and human fallibility, elements that are key ingredients in the creation of legendary era coins. Beyond the technical errors, even minor variations such as repunched mint marks, die chips, or unusual die states can make certain examples stand out, especially if they are dramatic enough to be visible without magnification, as collectors love coins that tell a story through their flaws. Imagine a 1990 penny struck 50% off-center on a copper planchet with a bold double die obverse and in pristine condition. Such a coin, if it exists, would undoubtedly be one of the greatest modern-era coins ever discovered, and its price could easily rival that of historic rarities like the 1933 double eagle or the 1794 flowing-hair dollar. As collectors appreciate not only age but also uniqueness and narrative power. Additionally, provenance can play a role in boosting the value of a 1990 cent, as coins once part of famous collections or discovered in remarkable circumstances can fetch premiums due to their backstory, adding another layer of intrigue that appeals to collectors and investors alike. Publicity and media attention also influence prices, as high-profile auction sales or news stories can create surges of interest in specific coins, leading to intense bidding and record-breaking prices. So if a spectacular 1990-era cent were to hit the headlines, the hype alone could contribute to its multi-million-dollar valuation. The psychology of collectors further fuels this market, as many view ownership of a unique or legendary era coin as a symbol of prestige, accomplishment, and connection to history, motivating them to pay extraordinary sums to secure such pieces, especially in a competitive auction setting where pride and desire can override financial caution. Over the years, numismatics has proven time and again that rarity, condition, era type, and narrative can combine to produce mind-boggling prices, and the 1991 cent coin embodies all these factors in one small, unassuming package, making it a prime candidate for astonishing valuations like $16 million. Consider that in a world where investors seek safe havens and unique tangible assets, rare coins stand out as portable, historically significant, and often appreciating stores of wealth, and era coins in particular offer an added dimension of intrigue and scarcity that can appeal to both seasoned numismatists and newcomers seeking something truly extraordinary.